Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thanks so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. So when you're planning your wedding, especially if you're planning it on your own and not hiring a wedding planner or coordinator, there are a lot of things to know that can kind of help make that process a little bit smoother and easier for you. There are a lot of things that are commonly overlooked or missed, and I wanted to do a video all about kind of the common mistakes when it comes to wedding planning. So here are the 5 most common mistakes couples make when planning their wedding. The first common mistake that couples make when planning their wedding is either failing to track their financials and budget or not creating a budget at all, especially in the beginning stages of wedding planning. So I've talked about this in plenty of previous videos, but the first step before you make any big wedding planning decisions after you're picking your date or thinking about those sorts of things, before you're booking anybody, before you're making any big major decisions for wedding planning, you want to make sure that you have a budget set. And not only an overall budget for your entire wedding, but really go in and categorize this budget so that you know exactly how much money you can allot to each specific arena of your wedding, and it's going to make things a lot easier for you, a lot less stressful, and make sure that you're also tracking this progress as you go. Don't just set this overall budget in the beginning and then continue to book your vendors, continue to make decisions, and not continuously track how much you're spending and how much you have left. I have seen couples that aren't really paying attention to the financials in the in-between part of planning the wedding, and then they get towards the end and it's time to pay all of their vendor balances and all of that, and they're realizing that they've spent way more than they originally planned to, and that's just because they weren't tracking the progress and all of the deposits and all of the remaining balances and everything for each category throughout the wedding planning. I actually have a video all about how to make a budget and the best way to kind of categorize that and what to expect when it comes to your wedding budget. If you want to check that out, I will link that above. And number 2, the overall timing of the day. This tends to be a place where a lot of couples make mistakes, and that's either not creating a full day of timeline and having the times planned out and mapped out for the overall day, or whether that is kind of overestimating or underestimating the amount of time certain things will take. So not knowing how long to allot for bride and groom portraits, or not knowing how long your ceremony is. That's a big one. Making sure that you have a good grasp on not only how long things are going to take throughout your wedding day, but also how to plan that out from start to finish, from the start of time that you're getting ready, from the start that your photographer shows up until the very last song, or until the last hour that you have your venue. All of that should be planned out from start to finish in a nice organized timeline. I also have a video on this as well, and I link that above, on creating a day of timeline if you don't have somebody doing this for you, like a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator. So check that out, and hopefully that will help you kind of swerve this mistake as well. Number 3 is getting a little bit too ambitious and DIYing too much. In the beginning of wedding planning, when your wedding feels really far away and you're trying to save money, it's easy to think that you can do a lot of things yourself. And while there are plenty of things you can DIY and tackle on your own, you don't want to be creating too many projects for yourself, especially ones that you aren't tackling right away, and be stuck with all of these DIY projects in the last month or 2 leading up to your wedding, because it's going to make you just not enjoy those last few months, and it's going to make you super stressed out and not be able to fully enjoy the last bit of planning, and you're going to feel like you want to just get it over with and you want to just be done with the wedding, and that's not really what you want to feel leading up to your wedding, right? So don't make the mistake of biting off more than you can chew when it comes to DIY projects. And if you do plan on DIYing a lot, just start as early as possible, recruit your friends to help you out, make it a little wine night if you're crafting a lot, do something to kind of incorporate as much help as you can and get that done as early as possible. Number 4, if you have been watching my channel for a while, then you probably have heard me talk about how much I value a good DJ. It's one of those things that isn't really recognized how important it is until it's lacking. Or if you're somebody like me and you work in the wedding industry and you've worked with various types of DJs or worked without a DJ, then you know how crucial it is to have a good DJ for your wedding day. a DJ is much more than just playing music. They're going to be reading the room, they're going to be reading the dance floor. Their job is to make things flow and to make things be seamless and easy, and then once the dance party starts, to make sure that everybody's having a good time. So if there's music playing and your guests aren't vibing with it, the dance floor is empty, and you don't have a DJ there, it's gonna stay that way unless you have somebody that knows how to get everybody onto the dance floor, how to kind of change up the mood, and really be a professional in a sense of knowing how to keep things moving along and running smoothly. This also goes for all of the timing of events and everything. A DJ and a wedding coordinator will work pretty much side by side, as the coordinator is kind of behind the scenes making sure everything is running on time, and the DJ is the one that executes everything. So they're making all the announcements to make sure guests are getting their seats for dinner, releasing tables for the buffet if that's necessary, announcing for toasts, keeping those moving, doing the first dances, all of that sort of stuff. You really need to have somebody there in order to facilitate these events and make those announcements and keep everything running. If you're somebody that wants to have a live band, I would highly recommend either touching base with them and seeing if that's something that they can provide, making these announcements and keeping the night flowing. And if it's not, then consider having an MC or a DJ there to kind of supplement your live band as well, just to have somebody there that can tackle those tasks. And the fifth commonly made mistake when it comes to wedding planning is underestimating the setup and or teardown of your wedding. So maybe you've been gathering ideas and collecting items for setup, and you think that it's something that can be done pretty quickly in the morning of. Always overestimate how long things are going to take when it comes to setting up for the day, and who is going to be responsible for this. Is this something that you're going to do? Is this something that your bridesmaids are going to do? Is this something you're hiring somebody to do? Make sure that you know exactly what is going to go into your wedding setup so that you aren't rushing on the morning of. You shouldn't be doing this anyways, so if there's any way around that and you don't have to be responsible for setup on your wedding day, if you have access the day before, if you have people that you can pawn this off to on the morning of, whatever that is, have that kind of planned out before the day of your wedding so that you can just get ready and not be stressed out about the timing it's going to take to set everything up and making sure that things are getting ready while you are also needing to get ready and take photos and do all of the things that come with a wedding day. This also goes for teardown at the end of the night as well. Everything that you set up is obviously going to have to be torn down and packed out of the venue as well. So understand first what the kind of expectation is for the venue as far as what needs to be cleaned up at the end of the night, if you have to have everything out of the end at the end of the night from the venue, and make sure that you either again have people that are kind of assigned to tear down and take care of that for you, whether that's friends and family or whether that's somebody that you hire, or your rental companies are going to be coming in and packing everything out and dropping them off. Those sorts of things, make sure that you've got that all planned out long in advance before the wedding day so that you know how much time to allot for setup and tear down. So if you've never planned a wedding before, it would be easy to make one of these 5 common mistakes for your wedding planning. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we will see you next week.